Why are Tottenham wanting Werner?
Lacking forward options. Obviously, Son's away at the Asian Cup this month. Manor Solomon is out of injury. He's been out for a couple of months with a meniscus injury, underwent surgery. And I think a player like Timo Werner fits what Postecoglou wants. He will make defenders think about going the other way. His pacing behind is well documented. And people forget that Timo Werner did start in a fluid Chelsea front three in the Champions League final. Champions League that Chelsea actually won, playing with Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. And despite the fact that his goal scoring exploits weren't amazing, he was the player that did a lot of work for the team. And that's why Chelsea fans really took to Timo Werner, as opposed to a lot of other players from that Chelsea team that have now left that side. So it's understandable why Spurs want to bring him in. This is almost a try before you buy as well. See how he does for these 6 months, see if he takes the opportunities that are presented. And if he does, then it would be no surprise to see them extend his stay at Tottenham, because I think he's a player that Ange Postecoglou sees traits in, and a player that he can probably get the best out of as well.
Now, Harry, you've been looking at some stats around Timo Werner.
I have, indeed. A nice walk over to the big screen now. First of all, though, it's important to think about exactly why Tottenham are looking for another striker in this window, because obviously with the high-profile loss of Harry Kane in the summer, a lot of people were questioning how they would be able to fill this void, and the main man that stepped up to that is, of course, Son, but they are very reliant on him in terms of their attacking output and their goals. 20 games this season, scoring at 12 and assisting 7 times. Richarlison, of course, coming into form. He's the next top goal scorer with 6 goals, and then you've got Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson as well, but in terms of that pure attacking output and goal scoring, they're not really up there. Kulusevski with 5 goals this season and Brennan Johnson with 1. And so that brings us then, of course, to Timo Werner. He came to the Premier League with so much excitement. We can look at his first spell at RB Leipzig here, 159 games and 95 goals within that period. And that speaks to the fact that when he came to Chelsea for that big fee, I believe it was 47 million that they paid for him, they had so much excitement around him, but he just failed to really bring what was expected of him during his time at Chelsea. 23 goals in those 89 games that he played. Not to forget, though, that he did win a Champions League medal, which is not to be sniffed at. He also started in that final as well. And we'll come on to his stats at Chelsea a little bit after. But then, as you can see at the bottom there, he returned to RB Leipzig, failed really to hit the ground running when he's returned there again. He had another setback, and he had an injury just before the Qatar World Cup. 18 goals in 54 appearances in his second time there. But this season, just 2 starts and 2 Bundesliga goals across 8 appearances for Leipzig. OK, let's look at Timo Werner in the Premier League. Chelsea, as I mentioned, he went there with so much excitement, but the real story of his time there was the fact that he had so many big chances that he just didn't manage to convert into goals. You can see here, expected goals. A lot of people don't like this stat, but 18.54 during his time there speaks to the fact that he had so many opportunities, but in terms of the actual goals he converted, only 10, which was 4th in terms of the Chelsea rank. I just feel like the stylistically wasn't really the fit there between what Chelsea wanted, that really finessed and perfect goal scorer. He didn't exactly bring that, and that's why he did eventually move on. Now, why a move to Tottenham then? A lot of people have been talking about the stylistic fit between Tottenham, the fact that Ange Ball, he likes to play very direct transitional football, and we know that Timo Werner is a player that has so much pace, often got caught offside at Chelsea, which was much to the annoyance of Chelsea fans at the time. But it's potentially a low-risk move for them, a loan option, an option to buy during the end of the season as well. Very good on the counter-attack. Know that he's very good at getting in behind defence as well. So a lot of reasons why a move to Tottenham would make sense. Stylistic fit, do you think? But I feel like if you look at the stats there in the games that he played, all the clubs, he's got a lot to prove, hasn't he, when he comes back?
He's got a lot to prove, but he's also got a lot to offer as well, Timo Werner, in terms of pure athleticism. He's 27 years old, he's still relatively young, probably only got 3 or 4 years left of that blistering pace, and he has to capitalise on that, because we know that there's other parts of his game is lacking. But he's a player that, like I said before, Ange Postecoglou will be able to utilise, and his ability to run in behind is incredible. You saw his stats there in terms of expected goals. If Timo Werner existed in a world where there wasn't VAR, he might have an extra 10, 15 goals on that tally, because he was always on that line. But as somebody who watched Chelsea very, very closely, he was a player that did frustrate, but also when Timo Werner was on, He made the Chelsea team better. He made the Chelsea team more effective. And this is a Timo Werner that's going to come back, maybe burn those bridges now with Chelsea fans as a result of going to their biggest rivals. But he can create and carve a new legacy for himself in the Premier League in a situation that's a bit more stable than he was at Chelsea, and a situation where he can go and thrive, because I think the expectations at Spurs in comparison to where Chelsea were at were just a little bit lower than it was before.